offensive tackle recruiting. I know that offensive tackle recruiting is not sexy to some, but it is very sexy to me because point to the best offensive tackles, point to the best defensive tackles, you point to championship football teams. So watching how Tristan Leigh, and Amarius Mims continue to go through their recruiting is fascinating to me. Marius Mims is considered in UGA lean, Georgia, and Tristan Leigh is a little bit harder to nail down. So a couple months ago, Tristan Leigh, 5-star offensive tackle, dropped a top 15. And as much as folks hate lists from recruits, you gotta pay attention. And if you are paying attention, start paying attention around top 5, right? I'm gonna pay attention to all of them because it's what I do. But I thought it was interesting that he has rounded out like 5 schools that he's actually paying attention to. And they are LSU, Alabama, Clemson, Florida, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oklahoma. And he's done virtual tours with Oklahoma and virtual tours with Florida. And he's had good things to say about them, saying to Steve Wiltfong at 247, I am trying to see how this whole thing pans out. If I am able to do official visits, I would take all of them before I commit. If not, I am trying to get all my information to be able to commit. So he's got the rest of this list that includes Georgia, Florida State, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Miami, Maryland. Central Florida is on this list, and Southern Cal. Central Florida stands. You're not getting a 5-star offensive tackle. Sorry, not sorry. Okay? 6'5", 270 pounds, moves very, very, very well. And he's looking for a great position coach. And more than that, someone he can trust, even saying as much. He says, look, I'm looking for a place where my talents and their ability can help me maximize the most I can be to be developed, where I can have a coach I can trust in a relationship where he is going to look out for me beyond football. I want a place where they have my back, my family's back, and where they see me as a student athlete. Talking about distance is not really a factor for him. I don't care if it's far from home. I care that it's the best fit. And he's trusting his own intuition with the offensive line coaches who are recruiting him as to how he feels about those things. Right? He's been paying attention to Oklahoma, especially here of late, as the #1 quarterback in the class. Caleb Williams has committed there and playing, blocking for what is considered the top-rated quarterback in the class is appealing. And he has talked to Caleb Williams quite a lot, saying, we said a long time ago it'd be amazing to play with each other. That's something I do think a lot about. He's a competitor, and he will take whatever it takes to win. He will do whatever it takes to win. I like to surround myself with people like that with the same similar motivation. He's watched film with guys like Bryce Foster, who's considered an OU lean, and Cullen Montgomery, who is committed to the 2021 class at Oklahoma. And Montgomery is charismatic. You've heard him here on this show. I love talking to the kiddo. And he plays on the opposite side of an offensive line that features Donovan Jackson at tackle. Donovan Jackson is top-rated offensive guard in this class and committed to Ohio State. Continues to say he's learned a lot from all of the coaches. And that's what I tell the kids to do whenever they ask me for advice. Use these opportunities to pick the brains of the best minds in college football. Whether that be a head coach or a position coach, if you want to talk scheme, talk scheme. If you want to talk about business, talk business. This is the best opportunity you're going to have. And the higher rated you are, the more leverage you have. And having that leverage, use it to your advantage. Try to glean as much as you can, pull out as much as you can. Keep a journal of the things that you hear and are told. Take notes on them, not so that you're taking a test, but so you can refer back to them. And Leigh strikes me as that kind of a kiddo. Now, there are teams in his primary list of suitors that could use him in a desperate way. One of them is LSU. And James Craig, offensive line coach at LSU, has stayed on him, stressing the winning environment that they have, stressing how many players they put into the NFL last year, stressing we won a national championship. We are planning to win another national championship, and they really need the help on the offensive line. They picked up a great blue chip recruit out of Michigan and Garrett Dellinger. They would love to have another top-rated offensive tackle to this class. They missed out on J.C. Latham, who committed to Alabama. And we're still waiting to see what happens with his recruitment with Ohio State, who also missed out on Latham. And that's a bigger miss for them because Latham was considered an Ohio State lean until he announced his commitment to Alabama. He's staying in close contact with guys like Kyle Flood at Alabama. And really, I think we're going to come down to 4 suitors here, right? Because Clemson's still late in the weeds. You're talking about Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, and perhaps Oklahoma, right? I really think that Bill Bedenbaugh gets to show everybody the receipts on this, and that's what you buy into. That said, it's been difficult on the recruiting front for him to land top talent outside of the area, like Bray Walker and Andrew Rame, both from Oklahoma. We understand, right? But getting those guys to commit from outside the area has been difficult for him. It's another reason why, I just don't believe that they're going to be anywhere close on guys like Amarius Mims. Because Amarius Mims, not unlike Smile London, is interested in playing SEC football. And being interested in playing SEC football, Oklahoma's just not going to be able to compete with that. But neither is Ohio State, for that matter, or Clemson. So it speaks to just how powerful the allure is of that conference, knowing what we know, right? Because we understand the SEC puts more players into the NFL draft than any other conference. And when we're talking about a one-to-one basis, LSU had a really good year last year. Alabama has that year almost every year. You understand. You know that if you make it through the system, that you're going to be great. But lately, Georgia has had something to say about that. Georgia's been able to put players into the NFL draft at a level that is on par with USC, with Oklahoma, with Alabama in a good year. But man, if Kirby Smart continues to recruit like he's been recruiting the last 3 years, you'd have to bet on Amarius Mims deciding to pick Georgia. Now, the thing that I find most interesting about that is Broderick Jones is already there. And if Broderick Jones gets onto the football field as a freshman, then I think we could all venture a really great guess that Amarius Mims would take that as a chance for him to get on the field very soon. And he's going to announce his commitment on August 15th, so we're going to know a lot more about what he thinks about Broderick Jones and what he thinks about Georgia and the opportunity to play well there sooner rather than later. Now, outside of Amarius Mims and Tristan Leigh, we're watching guys like LJ Johnson. We're watching guys like Kamara Wheaton, who does not have a commitment date in sight. We're watching guys like Trevor Etienne coming out of Jennings, who is being heavily pursued by the SEC, but also Clemson. And we're watching guys like Andrew Mubuka, because Mukuba is friendly with Latrell McCutcheon, and Latrell McCutcheon has been lighting up Twitter here lately, throwing horns down and talking about Texas sucks, and a high school recruit is getting into the feelings of Texas Longhorns, and I'm fascinated by that. It's like, yo man, you're in high school, you don't get to talk noise to me, you're not even here yet, and yet that's how they're taking it. But Mims is showing crystal balls that heavily lean toward Georgia. He's down to Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, and Auburn. I think that it's not out of the question for a Nick Saban to swoop in here late, because that's what he does. But against Kirby Smart, good luck. He's had 2 of the 3 top recruiting classes in the country the last 3 years. It's going to be interesting to see if he can land the number 6 player in the 247 Sports Composite, number 1 player in Georgia, and a 5-star in Amarius Mims. Keep it going right where it's been going.